Hi everyone and welcome to And So On. My name is Lisa and today I have all my knitting to show you. Okay, so it has been a while. I admit it, it's been a while. I was just suffering, I think, from a little bit of burnout, a little bit of, things going on in life, and I've been working and doing a couple different things. And so I just didn't get up the energy or the inspiration to record. So what I have done today is I'm actually renting a studio space to test out the idea of maybe having a studio. So I'll put in a little video of that, just a little entrance so you can see. And I'm sitting here right now in an enclosed outdoor courtyard. You might even hear the birds, we'll have to see. And I'm testing out the idea of being in a separate space to work and see if I feel more inspired and also more productive. So today is a knitting podcast, and I'm going to go through the traditional knitting podcast scenario, which is finished objects, works in progress. I do have a couple of acquisitions and maybe some plans. We'll see what happens. I have been very, very busy, both with gift knitting and then also knitting for myself. And so I do have my iPad with me because I want to make sure to be able to tell you about some of the gifts that I've already made and sent out into the universe on their way. So I'm just going to sign into my Ravelry here as we're sitting here, and I'm going to tell you some of the things. By the way, if you want to, I do have my Ravelry listed below so you can see all my projects, all my notes, everything that I've been doing. And I do have a couple of things that I've already done and sent out into the world. One that I have that I should be able to bring with me, except my daughter is actually wearing it today. And that is the classic sweater from Espace Tricot that I made for my youngest. And I made that in some drops Lima that I had left over from another project. And I had to buy just a little bit more, and I was able to finish this cozy sweater for her, and she absolutely loves it. It's very pretty. I had finished a lot of it like last spring, and then kind of got too warm to really need a sweater like that, and so I put it away, and so I just had to finish the sleeves. So I did that, and she really loves it. The Lima is perfect for it. I love the chunky cuffs, and it's a really quick knit, knits up really fast. I think I used the recommended needles, I think I used the recommended needles, which was 4 and 4.5 millimeter. And it's a great pattern, free on the Espace Tricot website, and I can put that out there for you to see. I also made a bunch of gift socks, and I'm just gonna put a couple pictures up there rather than go through them all because they're just simple socks that I finished for friends of mine. I think I finished 3 or 4 pairs of socks since I last saw you, and I do have a couple here to show you now, but those are some photos of some socks that I worked on, and it was really nice. People really appreciate knitted socks. At least the people that I make socks for are very knit-worthy, and I really appreciate getting knitted socks, and you will see later a pair of socks that were knitted for me. Okay, so I have a couple hats that I finished. This one is for my brother-in-law who is here for about 6 weeks. And this is for him for Christmas. This is the Sandoval. It's the Sandoval hat by, one moment please, Robin Devine. And it's a very easy pattern. It's a 2x2 rib. I used merino Aran from Katya. So it's an Aran weight. I also made one for my husband as well, but I need to line it for my husband because my husband doesn't have much hair. So he still feels the cold through it, but I don't think my brother-in-law will have that problem. So I made that for him. And then for Audrey, I made the classic ribbed hat by Pearl Soho. And you can see here, I made it in a mixture of Drops Air and Isayer Jensen. I'll even put it on because it is so cozy. Now, I have to say, I think this is slightly denser gauge than what it's meant for because the Air and the Jensen together make quite a thick yarn, but it's very soft and very, very cozy. And I personally like a hat that really fits like snug on my head so that the wind and stuff doesn't get through. It's got really nice decreases on the top. You can see that there, yeah. So yeah, that's for Audrey. And I'm hoping to maybe make her a pair of mittens to match. I do have some of this left, so We'll see. Okay, and then I finished some sweaters and I also altered some sweaters. So you guys know that I am all about making my handmade garments, whether it's knit or sewn, as wearable as possible. And if I find I'm not wearing them, then I want to figure out what I can do to make them more wearable. So let's start with that. And here I have my Winterfell cardigan by, I think it's Catherine Schneider. I made this 2 winters ago. And I actually altered it to add a zipper, which is not part of the pattern. It has a button, but I wanted a zipper one, which I do really like. Now, when I made this is made in D lana, very rustic Spanish wool. It's super rustic. I can only wear this when it's really cold or else it's too itchy. But when it is really cold, it's a beautiful sweater. However, the round neckline, which I often find frustrating in cardigans and even sometimes in crew necks, was way too open. I'll put in a picture of me wearing it when I finished it, and you probably can't exactly tell, but I never wore it because it came way down like this. And number one, it would show whatever I was wearing underneath, and or it would just not cover the back of my neck, which is what I want to be warm. And the other thing was the sleeves were not long enough. And so you can even probably see the line here. Can you see that? So I added this much to the cuffs on both sides in a twisted rib. And then I just picked up around the collar, and you can even see maybe on the back, you can see this is where the original collar left. I picked up, I did a row of knit stitches, and then I just did 2x2 rib, and I actually bound off a little bit tight so that it would kind of stand up. So I'll put in a video of me wearing it. It's not perfect because of course it wasn't meant to be like that. So the zipper only comes to here, it doesn't come to the top. However, that said, it's much more wearable like this. And actually it made me revisit the pattern, and I know there's so many patterns that I want to make, but I could see making this again because I do really love that twisted stitch detail, and I spent so long on this. And I remember too that I made a mistake on the twisted stitch and had to rip back like a lot. So this was a kind of a labor of love, and I really want to make sure I wear it. Similarly, you guys remember this sweater. This is my, let me just make sure I'm holding it the right way. One thing I do sometimes to do the back and the front is I add a little bit of colored yarn. In this case, it's just the yarn tail, but I weave it in visibly. And that way I know for sure that like what is the front and what is the back without having to fuss and look where the short rows are and everything. I love this sweater. You guys know I wear it all the time. However, same thing, the sleeves were quite short. And again, you can kind of see the line here. Do you see that line? That's where I added, I think 5 centimeters to each. And I'm tempted to add more. I'm actually tempted to add to the length. I only have a little bit of this. This is made in Ulysse from Derera Natura, and I only have so much of it. So yeah, I don't know if I have enough to go back again, but I'll put in a video of me wearing it, and it's just so much more, actually I'm gonna put it on now. It's so much more wearable now because I am someone, I get cold wrists. My wrists get chilly. And so I want something that is long enough to cover my wrists. And when it was, when it was shorter, it would literally come up to here when it got pulled. And I don't ever make anything bracelet length. For me, if I need a sweater, it needs to be long because I'm cold. I'm a chilly person. There we go. So pretty. I love this sweater. Another thing I finished. This was another thing in the same yarn. So this is Derera Natura Ulysse. So is this. And this is the Edamine sweater by Emma Duche, and I made this for Making Stories magazine. It was a test knit that I did not finish in time. And if you've been watching me for a while, you will know that this has been a serious comedy of errors. I'm gonna give you the Coles Notes version right now, but basically what happened was, I was rushing to get through. I didn't alternate skeins on the Darjeeling. I had different dye lots clearly, ended up with a big line. I had already done one sleeve, frogged back the sleeve, finished the body in the one color, And you can see, do you see the ribbing is a little bit different? Because the ribbing I did in the other color, and I also did both the sleeves in the other color. And if you look closely, you can see the line where it changes, but I figure it doesn't matter at that point. I mean, it could even be considered a fifth color in the color work. The other thing is the neckline of this was really open, like I just said. And so if you saw my video where I thread elastic through to change, in this case, I used it on the sunset camisole to raise up the underarm, but it's also really good to do at the neckline. And so I did it there. So I'll put in a video of me wearing it. I'll be honest, this was such a pain in the behind and not because of the pattern, just because of my poor choices. I had decided to give this away. And then I just tried it on now and I saw it on camera and I'm like, actually, it's kind of cute and it is cozy and it's now the time of year where it would be nice to wear. So now I'm a little bit waffling as to whether or not I'm going to give it away, but I may give it away or I may hold on to it. We'll see. I have a lot of sweaters, so I probably should just give it away, or maybe I'll wear it this winter and then I'll give it away in future. That is all my finished objects. And now I'm going on to whips. So you guys remember this from last time, maybe. This is the Carol sweater by Julia Wilkins. And this was sort of not a test knit, but like a preview knit that she sent me a copy of it, which is really, really kind. And I've done this in some 75-25 merino nylon that I got from a online retailer in Latvia. So it doesn't have a brand name. And then I just grabbed some scraps to use for the color work. And now one thing is this neckline is definitely too snug. So I am probably going to, after the fact, snip off the cast on edge and just bind off loosely is probably what I'm gonna do. I have gotten to the sleeves. So you can see here, I have started this first sleeve. I did not do the ribbing at the bottom yet because I wanna make sure that I have enough yarn and see where I am and also try it on and oops, sorry, I keep smashing the thing on the ground. And see how long it is before I decide like how much ribbing and what length and whatever. This is definitely going to be an after Christmas finish or Christmas break finish because I have too much to do before Christmas, but it's getting there. Ooh, I've got an end poking out there that I've got to, yuck. Okay, I'll fix that. It's getting there. This brown is really interesting because if you look closely, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's got like flecks of blue in it. It's got like flecks of navy. So it's not only, you can see one fleck like there. So it's not like fully tweedy, but it's also not fully just one color. It's definitely got like a blue strand running through it. Anyway, this is a really fun knit because it's just little bits of color work and then you're done. And I think that might be my favorite thing with color work is to just kind of do little bits. I don't know that I'm an all over color work person, but then again, for the right pattern, I'd probably change my mind. So knitted gifts. I have a couple, not too many. I am doing a tea cozy for a friend as a Secret Santa surprise. I started it here and then I'll put in the pattern below. I realized that I went way too far before I started. I was supposed to bind off stitches for the openings. I've never made a tea cozy before and I just kind of got into knitting and stopped. So I have all of this and I'll put the name of it below because I can't think of it off the top of my head, but this was a gift from my sister and I have so much of it. So I figure I can make a tea cozy and a couple other things and still have enough to make a couple things for myself. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna double this and I'm just gonna turn it into a little neck cozy and I will include that with the tea cozy because I can't bear to rip back for no reason. This is a mistake rib. I love mistake rib. I did another hat recently in this mistake rib as well as a cowl. And it's where you knit two, purl two, knit two, purl two all the way around. And then the next time you offset by one. So one of your knits lines up on top of a knit and the next one lines up on top of a purl. And then your first purl lines up on top of the purl, but the second one lines up on top of the knit. And so what you end up with is the knits I'm right near the train here, sorry. So the knits kind of pop forward and the pearls really pull back, and you almost get a kind of brioche type look to it. And I actually find it less taxing to knit than regular rib because I'm a combination knitter, my stitches orient themselves differently. And so every time I go around when I'm knitting and purling, because I have to knit based on how the stitches are oriented, I'm not constantly doing the same two knits and the same two purls in the same way. They're all different because of the combination knitting. So yeah, I'm actually enjoying this, although I'm a little bit irritated that I went too far. But she'll enjoy a little neck cozy, and it's big enough for sure, I think. Well, I'll do it a little longer and then I'll see. So again, I'm doing a hat for my husband, I'm doing the tea cozy, and then I'm gonna do something each for my kids. So I think for Lily, I'm gonna do a beret, because I think she'd love a pink beret. And I think for Audrey, I'm gonna do a pair of DK socks. Sneeze. I think for Audrey, I'm gonna do a pair of DK sock slippers. I think that's the plan, but I have some things I have to get through first before I can really dig into holiday knitting, which I know is kind of crazy considering it's only 2 weeks away, basically. Less than 2 weeks away. But I have a test knit that I must finish. This test knit is due in a week. This is for Sari Nordland. It's called the Rivendell sweater. I'll put in a picture of what it looks like. I love this. I'm loving knitting this. So hopefully you can see. Okay. So isn't that color glorious? It's blowing it a tiny bit. It's more like that. But you can really see the texture. Isn't that glorious? Now this is the first time that I've ever done a fully seed stitch sweater. I have to still pick up around the neckline, and you either do an I-cord or you do a ribbing. And you can see here that I am knitting the sleeve on short circulars in the round, and I have to get on that. So the yarn I'm using is from Dark Omen Yarns, and he is a dyer, I think it's a he, is a dyer out of Italy. And he dyes these most beautiful colors. This is, I think it's called Dynasty is the name of the base, and it is 75% merino, 25% yak. It is very, very soft. Now this is the only thing that I bought at Barcelona Knits. And Barcelona, I'll take a second to talk about it now. Barcelona Knits was so much fun this year. I had a lot of friends who came in from out of town, and we have a little, I think you guys might have heard, I might have said before that we've got a little like Instagram chat group with different podcasters, and we chat about podcasting and video recording and that kind of stuff, and YouTube, but we also talk about life and knitting, and sometimes we do knit nights, virtual knit nights. And so 5 came in from out of town. So it was Selma from Little Big Knits, Annina from Anniuti Knits, Camilla from Camijo Knits, Ivana from the Republic of Me, and then we also saw Anastasia from Free Your Sheep. And so we all got to hang out, and it was just so much fun. Like we had never met in person, and we all just bonded like crazy, and it was like we'd known each other for years. It was really touching, and like a testament to how real connections can be made online, and then when you meet in person, it can feel like you've known each other for years, and that's really what it felt like. So we had a blast. I'm gonna put to below the links to the videos of the other ladies, because they took a lot of footage and I actually didn't take any footage. If you want to see me specifically, watch Camilla's, because apparently I was stuck like glued to her all weekend, and her husband took a lot of video, and it's just me following around Camilla, and we had lots of fun. So but I did not buy very much yarn at all. I bought three skeins of this, and truth be told, I cheaped out and I should have bought 4. I thought I could get this whole sweater out of 3 because this is a sport weight, and so it's 300 meters. and I should have bought 4. So I have more than this. I have more than this. I have 2 more cakes, 2 more like 50-gram cakes. And I have to finish 2 sleeves and the block and the neck and the ribbing. So my plan is this. I know I'm always playing yard chicken. My plan is this. I'm gonna finish the 2 sleeves in the yarn that I have left for sure. And I'm going to try to also finish the neck. Obviously I'm gonna try and finish the whole thing, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to. So I'm gonna finish the neck. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into Barcelona next week, and I'm going to, later this week, and go to Miss Kitts or one of the places, and I'm gonna find something that approximates this to use for the ribbing. So the cuffs and the hem ribbing, I'm gonna find something purple. Maybe, I'm thinking maybe like Manos de Uruguay might have something similar to this, something rich, and it's not gonna match exactly. But the problem is to order another skein, I can't get it done before the deadline, and it's 27 euros plus 20 euros in shipping, and I can't really justify that. So I made the mistake, and I will fix it. But I think it's beautiful. I've steamed it a few times. I think the color suits me. I wanted to buy some more jewel tones because I feel like maybe jewel tones are my colors. And it's got dog hair all over it. I'm so sorry. There's Marta everywhere, but I love it. And then the last thing I'm working on, which I did take a little time to work on this week, and I probably should have just stuck with the other sweater, but I had to pick up for sleeves. You know what a pain that is, and I just kind of wanted to do something. So this is the How sweater by, I believe it's pronounced How. It's a Danish designer, and if I'm not mistaken, Camilla told me it's pronounced How, and it means water. But it's spelled H-A-V, and it's by Rachel Sugard. You know I butchered that for sure. And it's a Filcolana. So it's a Filcolana pattern, and I'll show it to you first, and then I'll explain the yarn, because the yarn is the exciting part. Okay, so this is actually the back. And I wanted to do a textured sweater the way they're so in right now, but I didn't really want all over texture. So this has some really fun texture. The back is now finished, and I've literally just picked up for the front. And you can see that's already there. And then I will basically do the same thing. And then you three needle bind off at the top, and then you knit the sleeves. Now, here's my yarn. And this is 100% cashmere, because it is a sweater that I frogged, and I'll put in a picture. I'm gonna do a whole video on frogging sweaters because it's my new, like, it's so fun. I love frogging sweaters and getting all this yarn, especially in this case where it's 100% cashmere, and I got the sweater for 7 euros. No shipping even, 7 euros. Now, I'll put in a picture of the original sweater. It was a men's extra large cable knit sweater. And the cable knit ones are good because generally the cables, they're going to have thicker yarn than if it's just a regular, very smooth cashmere sweater, which is gonna be very, very thin and hard to get enough yarn to do anything with, or you're gonna have to hold it very, very, like multiple strands together. And also it was my first sweater that I frogged, and so there are things that I didn't do as well, and because of that I didn't get as much yarn. So I am holding this double, so you can see this is what it was coming out as single, which is actually pretty good. I mean, is that gonna? Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I think it's a light fingering at this weight. I'm holding it double, so you've got double held cashmere. I did not soak it before I used it. I have been steaming it as I go, and I will soak it when it's done. But it is so luxurious and so lovely. Now, oh, train. Now, because I'm holding it double, and because I didn't get as much yardage as I thought, I'm quite sure I don't have enough to do sleeves. I have 2 possibilities for this. I kept the ribbing whole, and it actually has the loops at the top. And so I might attach the ribbing here and make, as a matter of fact, I could have been smart and done it at the beginning, but I didn't know. But anyway, I'm gonna attach the ribbon here and make it into a slip over. That's one option. And then the other option is I've actually purchased a second cashmere sweater from the same brand, I believe. And so I'm hoping that the colors are the same or similar enough. And perhaps I can finish the sweater in, even if it's a slightly different red, as a drop shoulder. So I don't know, but honestly, this is just for me fun. Like I said, it was €7 for the whole sweater. And I love, oh gosh, I've really let this roll away. I love the feel of it. It's like a bonus to me. Do you know what I mean? Because it was an experiment. It's an experiment. And so it's really fun and I like it a lot. Okay, a few acquisitions and gifts. Actually, not acquisitions, gifts. Oh, one, I have one. Okay, so my one acquisition is this book by Sally Nordland. This is called Softly, and I can't really, I tried to do a flip through, but because the patterns are really spread throughout, it's very hard to do a flip through without accidentally sharing proprietary information. But I'll give you, here's one here. It's a very beautiful book. And you get, I think, 30 patterns or close to 30 patterns. Let's see here. There. Like here's one here. It's called Antiope. There's a great mixture of garments and accessories, different, difficulties. Yeah, I actually pre-ordered this, and although now with Christmas everything's gotten a little busy and I'm testing something else for her, so I don't have time to cast anything for it right now, but I did get it signed and I have a little video, I'll pop that in. I did get it signed when I was in Barcelona and she was there. Let me see here. So that was fun, and it's a beautiful book. And she said on her podcast that she wanted it to be like a coffee table book, and it definitely has that feeling. It definitely has, like, you could leave this out and someone could flip through it and enjoy it even if they're not a knitter, because of the beautiful, beautiful photography. And all the photos aren't even of necessarily knitting. Do you know what I mean? Like there's some that's, I'm assuming that's the Jardin du Luxembourg. Anyway, so I have that. And then at Barcelona Nits, presents, so many presents. I didn't expect the presents. It was really, really sweet. So first of all, Nina from Annie UT Knits made us each a pair of socks. No one has ever knit me a pair of socks before. No, never. And it was so funny because we all flipped out. And she was like, I make socks for people all the time and nobody ever appreciates them like you guys. Like we were all almost on the edge of tears that she had knit us all a pair of socks. So these are gonna look a little worse for wear because of course I have been wearing them, but I'm gonna show them to you anyway. So, and this is some of Camilla's yarn. Look how teeny tiny her stitches are. My stitches never get that teeny tiny. And like the contrast edge. Anyway, like I said, I've worn them to death already, but I was so touched. And like the first thing I did when I got home from Barcelona Knits was put on the socks. And then Selma from Little Big Knits brought us each a skein of Sonder Yarn Co. So this is the Sonder 4-ply. This is BFL Massam base. It is so nice. Like look at that twist. Can you see that twist? I mean, it's just gorgeous. And I love the color. This is gonna be my Boxing Day cast on. And I don't even know what it is yet, but I'm gonna Boxing Day cast on something with this. It's so soft and beautiful. And if you don't know Sandra Yarn Co., it is Melissa, who used to own Espace Tricot. She has started her own hand dyeing company for a couple of years now, 2 years maybe, but she does not sell in Europe. She doesn't have any wholesalers here, and she also doesn't ship here. So very hard to get. So this is a truly Canadian import gift, and I was just so thrilled to get it. And I actually so when I came over Barcelona Knits, I was so tired, and that night I went to wind up for this, and it was dark, and I was winding, and I generally wind by hand, and I was like, gosh, this is so red. It's really, and it's so thin. Is this really sport weight? And turns out I wound up the wrong the wrong yarn, but that's okay, because now I'm ready for Boxing Day. And then the last thing was, look at this gorgeous set from Camilla from Camijo Knits. Her dyeing is amazing. You know, like going forward, but the last two sets of hand dyed yarns I've bought have been from her, and in future I'm probably mostly only going to buy from her, because I do love her colors, and her bases just get more and more interesting every month. Like, she keeps adding some really interesting bases. So this is from her sock club, where every month she picked a bird, a Danish bird, and she dyed it based on the color of the bird. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at those like flecks and stuff. So these will be socks. And again, I don't know when. I mean, they're just so pretty as is, but no, I'm gonna wind it up. I have some things I have to do first, but it was just so generous. They are just such lovely, generous ladies. They're the kind of people that, you know when you hang out with someone and you're like, oh, if we lived in the same town, we'd be friends. We'd totally be friends. We'd totally be friends. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's all I have to show you today. And I'm going to get going and get some more things recorded. I have a couple of flip throughs of Sandnes Garn books to show you guys. And I also want to tell you about frogging sweaters, thrifted sweaters, and give you some tips on what to look for, what to be careful of, because I bought 3 sweaters that I could not frog before I started getting smart and frogging the ones that I could. So I want to share that with you guys and share with you some more of the yarn that I've already put aside. And yeah, so I'm going to be using this studio for the next little while, and we'll see what comes of it. We'll see if it is something that I continue doing, but I do really like having a separate space where I can create without distraction and just be a little more immersed in creating content for you guys. So let me know what you think of the space. Let me know if the sound's okay, and let me know what you're knitting for Christmas. Tell me what you're knitting for Christmas, because I would love to know if you have any quick knitting gifts that you're working on, because I could probably use a few of those patterns. Okay guys, that's all for me. I hope that wherever you are, the sun is shining and you are knitting or sewing or doing whatever makes your crafty heart happy, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.